We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday when you listen to this, but we're recording it Sunday night right after the Super Bowl. And Will is with us. And before I get into that, I just want to mention something I promised I would, and I want to mention it because it's kind of a big deal to me. Will relate to this because I've been going a long time without getting community guideline violations on TikTok. I mean, I've gone a couple of years without getting community guideline violations. Well, I got two on Sunday, and the two were clips that I took out of this podcast with Epi and one with Tom Powell Jr. I appealed that and they turned it down. So then I had an account warning on my account for the first time since I can remember. So I reached out to our buddy Aaron at Go Live Vegas. I said, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but this is pretty fucked up. Now, keep in mind, I just had my appeals turned down. I sent it to Aaron at Go Live Vegas. He is basically an agency that kind of works between TikTok and creators. Um, hour, hour later, both violations gone, no account warning. So I have to give a tip of the hat to Aaron at Go Live Vegas. If you're a creator out there, doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't cost you anything. By all means, hook up with Aaron at Go Live Vegas. He encourages people to actually go live on TikTok and ways of making money and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
check in with Aaron if you're a creator, because he saved my ass. He saved Hawk's ass. He saved Tom Powell's ass. He saved uh, that lady Oz. Um,
Chasing
he's
Oz,
he,
yes.
Chasing Oz. Yeah, he's done a lot of this shit. So I just had to mention that before, and I knew you'd get a kick out of it because you've had a couple of experiences with getting banned.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got banned twice. And just so you know, I got a violation warning for something I posted early February that I appealed, and I haven't gotten first warning received. It was about talking about the Epstein files.
Yeah,
And I said that, people are on it. They say they're a part of it. But my comment was, I mean, if you're associated with Epstein, it's the ultimate cliche. Cliche. If you lie down with dogs, you get fleas.
right, right.
And so that's what they did. And I don't see. Um, I got a warning. The violation rating is misinformation.
That's what I got.
I mean, account status. I thought I had appealed this, and I'm looking for it real quick. Count check. Blah, blah, blah. So I got one warning. Yes, I disagree. And I'm going to resubmit this
They
appeal.
didn't. They didn't ban you again, did they?
No, I got one warning. I had a warning before because I said something about someone they're reviewing the appeal right now. So, but it's the last time it happened to me, it was like out of the blue. It's just like it happened. They just did it. I started to log in and it was gone. But I
Well, if you
mean,
want it, you can sign up
yeah.
with Aaron at Go Live Vegas. It doesn't matter how many you
I
got.
reached
It
out to him
doesn't cost
and
you.
he never got back to me when I lost my first account. So I'll try
I'll
it
talk
again.
to him. I'll
I
talk to him.
appreciate that because it's like it's a nothing burger. I mean, I just say it's a cliche. You lie down with dogs, you get fleas. That's basically what the Epstein files. If you're associated with Jeffrey Epstein in any capacity, you're going to be questioned. Period. Even if
As
you
well,
did
you
not
should.
do it, they've got people in Europe that are resigning right now. Um, in the prime minister's office, he really didn't do anything, but he was associated with someone that did. He's gone. Let's talk about one person that needs to resign is Howard Lutkin. Because Howard Lutkin not only is in the Epstein files, he was doing fucking business with Epstein even after he said he was not. Yeah, I saw your video about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, Howard Lutnick, and as I've said before, some people call him Howard Nutlick, Old Soul, and some other people like that. Um, but he was in a conversation where he said that he lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein. He met him in 2005. They went into his house and they saw some creepy things. And he and his wife said, "We're never talking to them or going over there again," which seems like a fair enough decision given what Jeffrey Epstein was. But then in the Epstein files, we get this thing coming out, a contract and notes back and forth in 2012. So clearly, Lutnick lied,
Yeah,
trying to cover his ass. And you're absolutely right. If there's somebody that needs to quit, he's one of them.
yeah, he needs to resign. I mean, I was reading, I think it was the New York Times or the attorney, you got to resign. Everyone else
Yeah.
around Europe is going now. And European countries are starting to do investigations. And all of them have extradition treaties with the United States.
Right.
And they're not kidding around because they are disgusted. Unfortunately, us in the country defend Trump, not us, but the people with power and Republicans and the cultists defend Trump for everything, including that racist video the other day. That would end anyone's political career in 15 seconds. Hell,
Absolutely.
Gary Hart lost his entire political career. Someone sat on his lap and he really didn't have any association with that girl, period. What was your senator from Minnesota? Al Franken, right? Franken should have never resigned over that bullshit. That was dumb.
No. And the reason he resigned is because the pressure he got from his own motherfucking people, the Democrats.
Dummies.
So that was stupid.
I mean, it's stupid because then you ended up with what? That's another thing we'll really touch on with the Democrats because they don't get it still. Quick note on the DHS funding, that ends on Friday. And Republicans don't want to do anything. They want to leave it as it is. And Democrats says they're not. I don't know if they're going to do it because I don't trust Chuck Schumer as far as I can throw my car.
No.
Okay? I mean, he's going to quit panicking. Now, the only thing I think is going to be in our favor is that the government's running.
Right.
So if they pull the plug on DHS, they just pulled the plug on DHS. And what is DHS doing? Nothing. They are not doing their job.
Well, it pulls the plug on FEMA too, but they aren't doing the job with FEMA. So who gives a fuck?
FEMA.
I would say shut them down. Don't let them do anything.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. But they got to Friday, and the Republicans, even the basic law enforcement shit, badge, name, badge numbers, no a steady uniform, body cams, no mask, judicial warrants. They're all saying no. And if you say anything about it, you're not American. You're not a patriot. Okay. When did demanding your constitutional rights make you not a patriot? I mean, these people are literally sick. It's
pretty ridiculous. And before we're going to talk more about Epstein. We're going to talk more about DHS and all that's going on. But we have to bring up the thing that's the most current news is during the Super Bowl today, the halftimes. There was the battle between the halftimes, and Bad Bunny showed up for the halftime at the Super Bowl, where we're looking at about 125, 150 million people watching that. Mm-hmm. And everybody was upset because Bad Bunny was going to do it completely in Spanish. Lady Gaga showed up. Cardi B showed up. Ricky Martin showed up. There was one particular point, and I've heard conflicting stories about it. There was a point where Bad Bunny was walking through the crowd, and apparently all those little food places are real places to kind of help promote them. Real places. One in Los Angeles. One in Los Angeles. Yeah.
As a Puerto. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike. You were
saying. No, there was a point where he handed a Grammy to a little boy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people were reporting that as being Liam Ramos, which would have been cool as hell. Then I heard it was an actor, and I don't know if it meant to be Liam Ramos or it meant to be him as a child. I don't know, but the whole thing was very well done. I didn't understand a word. It's not my kind of music, but like some people said, the vibe was really good. It was positive, it was uplifting. It was a great show.
And as a Puerto Rican American, as a Puerto Rican, not Puerto Rican, as a Puerto Rican, okay, who does not speak Spanish. Okay, I know everyone who's Puerto Rican is going to get pissed at me. I don't speak Spanish, but the music I heard, I grew up with my dad,
Yeah.
who is from the island. I was born in
Right.
Los Angeles. He's from the island. He's Borinque to the core. He was. And I know that music. I know that culture. I know it from him. And to watch that, it was like, yeah, I don't understand his words, but a lot of that stuff that he went through and I experienced in our lives, in
Yeah.
my life as a Latino. And I'm watching that and I'm telling you, it's great. By the way, that couple that got married did get married.
It
It
was
was
actually a
a
wedding.
wedding. It was actually a wedding. And it was a beautiful thing because it was uplifting. It talked about Puerto Rico. And then I was going, wow, because a lot of the stuff just brings back memories from my dad, my living, the food, all of it. The dancing, the relationship with family, all that, it reminded me of the opening of the uh, the play that God, I just drew a blank. Hamilton's Lin Manuel Miranda did about
Right.
the Dominican population in New York. It had a lot of that flavor, and that was the thing. At the end, he was talking. He brought all flags of all the Caribbean, that were there. It was a beautiful thing, and then Trump shits on it. Not that it
Well,
matters.
no, we'll talk about that in a minute. But then, of course, we have to take a look at the alternative halftime show where
Right.
Kid Rock, who is not a fucking kid anymore, he's an old fucking man, probably about my age, Kid Rock and a bunch of other people we never heard of. Now, here's the thing. What do I always say about Donald Trump and the Trump-a-fucks? They always fuck up. Now, this thing was going to be broadcast on their YouTube channel. Big deal. And then it was going to be live streamed on Twitter, owned by Elon Musk. But something happened. They couldn't because they didn't have the licensing to do it. So they didn't get to stream on Twitter. How is it possible that Elon is in your group and he doesn't come up with a way to license this so you can stream it on Twitter? They would have got a lot more people watching it. Like I said, there was about 125 million people or more watching Bad Bunny. And you know how many people watched the Trumplefucks halftime
I have
show?
no idea what.
4 million. That's a lot, but not
That's a
compared to
lot.
125 million.
But also, it's like I didn't. Obviously, I didn't see it. I would not stoop that low. But the Hollywood Reporter, yes, I get the Hollywood Reporter because believe it or not, a lot of that stuff they say matters in entertainment
Yeah.
and politics. Do this, but he said the reporter said I watched it, so you didn't have to, and all those guys did their songs, and he said that and one country guy was complaining about that. America doesn't understand the attitude of little towns. Little towns don't put up with this shit. You know what? And I've said this before, everyone will say it. I will feel safer walking downtown in Los Angeles, Minneapolis, New York, New Orleans, Atlanta than it would be in a small town in the South.
Oh,
Because
no
most of the
question.
time in those cities, there's nothing called a sundown town. There
Right.
is in the fucking South and a lot of little towns in the Midwest. Okay, so that shit doesn't fly. Also, Rock's in the article. They said Rock said, "I want you to see this is the real America." What the fuck are you talking about? That's the thing. Stephen Miller and all these people have perverted what America is. Okay, you know what America is? What I saw on the Bad Bunny performance. That story is our Latinos take on America, which Irish did, the Italians did, everyone does. You have your own culture, black culture around the country. You have your own culture, but you're all Americans in the end. And what these
Right.
assholes have done in the White House and have taken the idea that the only American is white, which is not true. We know
No, of
this,
course not.
okay? And the thing about it is that flavor of culture is what makes America America. I don't get it. But hey, you're not going to achieve what you want. I've watched it. There are videos of a guy who goes to New York City, just walks into a restaurant and buys stuff just to eat. like a bagel sandwich. But he goes into Chinatown and gets dumplings and stuff. And I'm thinking, this is stuff that they don't want.
Right.
They don't want that culture because because to them, they don't understand anything that's foreign to them. You can enjoy foreign. It's literally what I saw at Bad Bunny. Basically, it's hot sauce for America. There's nothing wrong with it, guys. Enjoy it. Go with it. But you can't. You can't because you fear it. You fear it because it means you're losing your power. You fear it because you don't understand it. But here's the thing. There's still more of us than there is of them. And that's coming to fruition little by little, whether they like it or not.
Well, you pointed out that Donald Trump shit on Bad Bunny's halftime, as you might expect. I mean, over 100 million people watched it. Everybody reviewed it, loves it, whether they understood the lyrics or not. Donald Trump said this was un-American. You couldn't understand a word he said. The dancing wasn't appropriate for families or especially little kids. And that one struck me. You don't want the kids watching this dancing, but you're happy to take them down to Epstein Island and do fucking unspeakable things. What a piece of shit. Don't come to me with your false morality. You don't have any fucking morals.
And then it's like also the part of that is that he doesn't celebrate America. We have the hottest economy everywhere. 401ks are this. I'm going again with the lies. It's all a lie. We know that. The statistics don't show that. Okay? The market is riding on a false bubble.
Right.
That's going to blow up. And I'll tell you one of the reasons blow up. In watching, the one thing about the Super Bowl, everyone liked the commercials, and usually they're clever. I will say this right now. Every commercial was shit.
It wasn't a great year for commercials. There were a couple that were okay.
There was one. That was the Jurassic Park one. I thought that was cute. That was kind of a blowback to where, the movie. But the majority of them about what, Mike? AI.
Yeah.
And business and applications, blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking
There was one ad. There was one ad, though, that we have to mention.
What?
That I thought was very important. I don't know if maybe aired once.
Yeah, go ahead. Say it.
And I'm surprised Donald Trump isn't screaming about it yet. But this was a public service announcement with all survivors/victims of Jeffrey Epstein, calling Pam Bondi out, saying, "We need to hear the truth. We deserve the truth." And that had to be, I mean, I saw parts of it before the Super Bowl and it had to be very powerful. And to put it on during the Super Bowl, that's going to hit a lot of people. And I'll be excited to see what Donald Trump says when he realizes that was on there.
And also, they talk about the opposite side of the government. They had Mike Tyson talking about the glory of non-processed food. And I'm looking at, and the first thing when the commercials tell my kids they don't watch football. They're not football fans. They're football, like soccer fans, but they're not. But they'll watch this game because usually with the commercials and they get a good laugh at it. And they hate football because they got it shoved down here in the South. That being said. And then that commercial goes, and Mike Tyson comes out, and my youngest son, remember younger, he's in late 20s. He goes, "Isn't he a convicted rapist?" "Yes, he is, son. Yes,
also
he
is." Trump supporter too.
Yeah, and it's like that's the first thing. Didn't he have the sound up? But as soon as he saw it, he said, "Isn't he?" And that's a big deal because Robert F. K. Jr. was up on the Hill talking about this ad. You know how much that cost us? Like $5-6 million. That's what it cost us. It's like it's insane. That, and then there was another one about medical that they did that was ridiculous. But I know what it is. It's the savings plan that Trump came up with.
He didn't even come up with it. They've been talking about that for decades.
So, you can sign up for it. Let me put it this way. I wouldn't sign up for a fucking thing that comes to the Trump administration at this time. No, because I know what it's going to be. It's going to be a scam. Like, I don't know, Trump RX. That is bullshit. What the fuck is Trump RX? And then I found out it's nothing. It's just like, the little card GoodRx you get a discount on your drugs, but GoodRx gets you find a generic and you get a discount on generic. Trump is giving you like $10 off like name brand drugs, and there's less than 100 of them, and it's another con. And it's like a watch him say, this is not going to. I'm sorry, I can't get medications if I can't fucking go to the doctor because you cut my ACA subsidies because you gave $80 billion to ICE instead of doing the subsidies. Okay, people understand that, and I know we're going to talk about Epstein and everything, but I want to just real quick on the elections coming up, and everyone has been freaking out about the Fulton County election, what they did in Fulton County, the midterms. Everyone's freaking out. The pundits are coming out about Democrats not having a message and shit, right? They're worried about the progressive message. Let me tell you what's happening, because these assholes on the Republican and the corporate Democrats don't get it. You saw in New Jersey the race to replace the new governor. I forgot her name. Well, she's the race was AIPAC funded. Right. The one that they were supposed to win, the one that was endorsed by the DNC and given $2 million from AIPAC, it was a real close race. After the election, they declared him a winner. But before the votes were coming in, the progressive candidate, who is Bernie Sanders' assistant, number one political assistant, looks like she's going to win this election.
Really?
Just came out of it. She didn't get any AIPAC money. She's a progressive. She's talking about affordability, not compromise. She's winning that. And so the Democrats should be worried. They flipped a seat in, was it in Louisiana, from a Republican to a Democrat, a state Senate seat. Again, like everything seen in special elections, it wasn't even fucking close. We saw what happened in Texas. Yeah, and we saw what happened in Texas. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So Democrats still are on this thing that progressives can't win. They still are beholden to corporate. They're about to get that. Having New Jersey is a warning to you guys, how voters are turning. Another warning. I'm in Georgia, as you all know. Jon Ossoff is running for Senate. Look up Jon Ossoff's speech. He had a campaign rally on Saturday. It was freaking awesome. He went off on everyone, on Trump, on what they're doing, what we're going to do for you. He did not stop. He basically said, if you want to kiss the president's ass, that's your problem. It's not mine. He said this. He laid it all out. So in the AGC, the Atlantic Journal-Constitution, they're talking about the Senate race. There are three guys running. Buddy Carter. There are three Republicans running. And the Republican Party in Georgia are waiting for Trump to pick someone so they can have the inside track. And they think it's a 50-50 race because they're running on Jon Ossoff has a woke agenda, blah, blah, culture wars. Let me make this clear to you guys. And that's also for the 14th district that's coming up. There's going to be a march, that Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. There's one person that's been selected by Trump. Democrat may not win it, but you're going to find out it's going to be a fight. Laudermilk's district is going to be the same way. And if you want to drag any of those guys, the football coach, the two MAGA chuds, whatever one, with Jon Ossoff, you're going to get your asses handed to you. You guys don't get it. You're running on shit that is not selling anymore. No one is buying it. And you can't come in about immigration either because no one's buying your shit because they've been protesting in Atlanta the entire weekend against ICE and in Athens, Georgia at UGA. So go ahead and still be blind, Republicans, but you're about to get your ass handed to them and you don't even realize how bad it is.
Well, the thing is, it's bad now for Republicans, as we're seeing in the special elections and that sort of thing. But it's getting worse. I mean, there's nothing they're doing to make it better. They make it worse every day with the Epstein files, with the economy, with all the shit going on. The Republicans just keep sinking and sinking, and they're doing nothing to keep themselves afloat.
Well, they're not going to do anything this week. As you said, this week's going to be interesting. So, as you said, Giselle Maxwell is testifying in Congress because James Comer wants to. I don't know what the fuck he's going to get out of that. What? As she said, Trump didn't do anything? Is that
Well,
what the idea?
He's going to get nothing out of it because they've already announced to Comer, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers said any questions having to do with Trump and or Epstein, we're going to plead the Fifth Amendment. So nothing's going to come out of it. So the whole point of it is just performative, and it's not even going to be a good performance. I mean, she's not going to give them anything. And the fact of the matter is even if she did give them something, we know she's a pathological liar. She was convicted of being a liar. So who cares what she says?
I mean, she's going to have an open statement basically saying, I was a victim too, and I need to be let out of prison. Right after the jury convicted you of being his groomer, and you're all over the files, the justice files, and pictures of what you were doing, and testimony from the victims. But yeah, go ahead and try that. But I don't understand. You drag her out there. She says I'm going to do the Fifth Amendment. Democrats will go after her. What is James Comer? Reminds me of Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah,
every time he talks.
He's a goof.
But I'll tell you one thing: Foghorn Leghorn was smarter than James Comer. Okay, and that's the truth. But I don't know what he's going to get out of it. He can't get anything out of it. As for Pam Bondi, who's supposed to come, what is it, Wednesday?
I think so, yeah.
She met with victims. This is where it gets really fucking bad, okay? She met with victims. The Justice Department met with them and said, yeah, we're going to lay it all out, right? As soon as they left that meeting, Bondi got contacted, and the Justice Department got contacted from the White House saying to all Republicans, do not ask Bondi about the Epstein files. If you ask Bondi about the Epstein files, Republicans, you're going to be what they said in the memo, Massey, under like Thomas Massey. Right? You're going to be excommunicated, basically. And I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, that's out. She's going to testify, and you want everyone to believe that nothing's going on and you're not part of anything? That's a screen's fucking cover up. Are they that dumb?
Well, he can tell the Republicans not to ask about Trump or Epstein, but the Democrats will have an opportunity to ask questions too. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to Bondi. I mean, Bondi's in trouble, has been in trouble for some time. She's involved in a massive cover-up. She's complicit in the cover-up, and she's probably going to be prosecuted at some point in the future because of that cover-up. But the Democrats will take this opportunity to try to expose her in any way. Now, what she'll do is she'll get mad and get disgruntled and say, I don't need to answer that. I don't need to do this. And in the end, you're right. The whole point of having Bondi in there, it'll be a moot point because she won't give anything unless she loses it and starts screaming or something.
Yeah, and in the New York Times, there was a story about the Justice Department right now. The Justice Department is bleeding lawyers.
That's what I hear.
The lawyers who have been seasoned prosecutors are going, excuse me, we're here to prosecute criminals against Americans. I didn't know we're here to prosecute people that Donald Trump wants to prosecute, even though they haven't done any crime, or prosecute them for protesting against ICE. They are leaving. They are looking for lawyers. And the only criteria is when they ask these people want to be federal prosecutors. Understand, federal prosecutor, you got to go through loops. You have to be the best of the best. I mean, you met Glenn, the gentleman that the lawyer, Glenn. You met him once.
Oh yeah.
It'll come back to us later because we're old guys and we're losing our minds. But
I've been taking fish oil too, so I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, but I mean,
Glenn Kirshner.
But Yeah, so you've met him. I've seen him. He was a prosecutor. He laid it all out. 90% conviction rate. Yeah,
Right.
because they go and they're prepared. That's what they do. But normally they're independent and they go after the cases and go by the merit of the cases. But they started bleeding lawyers when they started going after, going after Comer and Comey and going after Letitia James and going after all these people that the people were saying no. And then it gets better because another reason why the lawyers are leaving, especially in the Minnesota office, is that they were filing warrants to investigate the murder of Renee Good. They wanted all the evidence of blood. They wanted bullet evidence. They wanted all that. Justice Department said Pam Bondi came down from the White House and Cash Hotel. Nope, we're not investigating that or Alex Peretti. We're done. We're going to leave it as it is. And I'm going, oh, that's why someone resigned. They want them in that office that anyone who's been arrested by ICE for protesting or obstruction needs to be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. Now, and I know if they drag that into court, a judge is going to go, get the fuck out of here. Right. They've done that already. But what it's doing is that putting pressure on a lot of these guys, and they're leaving. One person left because they said, this job sucks. They got fired. Yeah, thank you. You had the one attorney that said, hey, I'm just too tired. Put me in jail. I need some sleep. They got fired. The Justice Department is not independent. And I keep hearing people going, well, what good is that? Nothing's going to happen to him. Yeah, because he fixed it not to happen to him. We let him in to fix it that way. That's why Trump does the shit he does, because who's going to stop him?
Well, these lawyers that are quitting are doing it for many reasons. But one of the reasons they're doing it is because they know what they're doing is they're a party to something that's illegal. And you're absolutely right. Right now, the DOJ, there's nobody to do anything to them to stop them. However, that's about to change. That will change at some point in the next 3 years when we have a different complexion of a Congress with a Democratic rule and presumably a Democratic president. All those people that thought they were untouchable will now be touchable. And whether the DOJ at that point, whoever the Attorney General is, goes after them or not, I'm assuming they will. But all these lawyers, these rank and file lawyers, they know they're potentially culpable to be investigated and indicted, and they just don't want any part of that shit.
And also, it's not what they signed up for. They're not going after criminals. They're not actually doing what they're supposed to do. They are too busy doing this bullshit by Trump, who wants the 2020 election reinvestigated to bring all back the crazy stuff. He wants all these people prosecuted right away. He's upset because they can't get certain people into court. They won't file charges. He is on a tear. And that brings us to one thing that I just still can't wrap my motherfucking head around. How do you release a video like that and get away with it? Which he pretty much has done. Yeah. And we know we're talking about the video that he said, the Lion King putting the heads of Barack and Michelle Obama on the top of gorillas or apes. We know what that is. Everyone knows that is. I mean, there's a movie about that. I mean, with Harold Rollins depicting what happens with that. It was, and I saw it. I mean, the video. I'm going, that's what. And then he first he said he didn't do it. First he said he kind of didn't do it. It was a staffer. Right. Yeah, my dog ate my homework. And then he said, yeah, I did it. I don't care. Fuck you, basically. I mean, and the Republicans, most of us are defending him. I've been seeing people on CNN saying, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It was a joke.
Well, here's the deal:
these people?
the media isn't doing anything about it. Certainly, the Republicans aren't doing anything about it. But that posting took its toll with a lot of people, with other Republicans, with independents, certainly with Democrats. Donald Trump may not receive direct punishment for it, but it's certainly not helping his case. As we get closer to the election, it's things like these that will just sink it for the Republicans when it's all said and done. The fact that there are some Republicans that say no big deal, it's just a joke or whatever, those people are going to suffer too, because there are a lot of people out there, Republican and Democrats, that are absolutely appalled by it. If I'm a Republican, at the very least, I would be angry that he would be that stupid to do this. Even if I'm a racist, don't do that. But it's going to take its toll. He will receive some accountability on that. Maybe not directly, but ultimately he will.
Yeah, I mean that's what I saw an article. I think it was in the Daily Beast. Came up that a lot of Republicans are afraid you just killed the midterms for us, which goes back to what I was saying before. John Ossoff mentioned that already. How are you
Yeah.
going to win a statewide election as a Republican defending Trump, saying that everything Trump does is great, and he's just going to lay that out for you? It's
Yeah.
not going to work. I mean, they're literally they're just hiding there, hoping that everything. The one person said the reason that they're still sticking with Trump is that Trump has always won in elections when he shouldn't have won. 16, 20 because they say he lost not because of the fraud but because of COVID. I think that was just bad luck. And then 24, which he should not have won, but he did. So they're thinking that in the midterms he's going to pull a rabbit out of his ass and save them. But it doesn't seem like that. Not this time. I don't think so.
What people have to understand is he won in 2016 because he was a wild card. They didn't like what establishment politics was doing. They took a flyer on him and they fucked up. He lost in 2020 because he was coming out of his term and people remembered how bad it was. That's why he lost by 7 million votes. Somehow in 2024, these dumb fucks forgot about how bad he was. And we knew it was going to get even worse because he really has nothing to fight for because he's not going to run again. So what's going to happen in 2026 when we have the midterms? Donald Trump is not going to pull something out of his ass at this point and have the Republicans win, mainly because the people are currently suffering because of Donald Trump and the Republicans. So if Donald Trump or anybody else think they can pull something out of their ass because they've won some things unexpectedly, that's not going to happen in 2026 because people will be suffering as they're voting.
That's their logic. And the worst thing about it, they are just fleecing us, fleecing tax money. They're like, we talked about Howard Lutnick, who should resign. His son is using his office to enrich his family, his company. Eric Trump, Donald Trump, Eric, and what's the one he hates? There's so many.
Tiffany?
No. Tiffany's making money off him too with Jared Kushner. They already got Palestine.
Tiffany's. You're talking about Ivanka and Jared. Eric Jr., Eric and Don Jr., but Tiffany's
Don
the
Jr.,
one.
Eric and Don. Yeah, Don Jr. Don Jr. is making money. That Eric is making money off crypto. He sold that company to Qatar for $850, and that crashed the market. So people who were with that company, you're fucked. Lutkin's making money. Jared Kushner, that whole peace thing that they discovered, that they made up, it's just to parcel out Palestine once it's reduced to rubble, and they start building beach resorts on it.
Good luck with that too. I don't think they understand how that's going to go. These people are. It's about religion. It's about territorial situations. And if you think the Gaza Strip is just going to be calm and a resort, that's not how it's going to go. It's going to be dangerous there.
But they're rich fucks, and they think they're going to get something out of it. Meanwhile, the economy is shot. I mean, layoffs are ridiculous. Right now, they're not feeling it because people just got laid off. Give it 2 to 3 weeks when people are desperate. There are more, the last economic thing, there are more jobless than there are job openings.
Well,
That's bad.
there were more layoffs in January since 2009 coming out of that whole fucking mess. So the layoffs are having a significant impact here. Uh, Huge layoffs. Unemployment is going up. There are no jobs. I know people looking for jobs and there's nothing to be found. I saw one guy come on TikTok and he says, I've been looking for a job for a year. And he says, the only place you can get a job, he said, being an influencer on social media. Fuck's sake.
And that's, and it's so sad because he goes out of his way to make people's lives miserable. Look what he did in New York. By the way, he stopped the funding for the tunnel. The infrastructure funding that had already been approved by Congress,
already
allocated in blue states because of so-called fraud. It's too late. They do that, but a judge finally said you got to give them the money. But you heard that extortion bullshit. Yeah, sure. Name Penn Station after me and Dulles Airport. I'll give it to you. And he said it to Chuck Schumer, and when he came out, he said, "No, Schumer told me that's what he wanted to do." What the fuck are you talking? And no, we all know that. He got caught in his little pussy bullshit. Now court is saying you got to give him the money, bitch. But if he don't get the money, 1,000 men are out of work. Everything gets shut down. No one's working. He did the same thing with those wind projects, right? Which were already designated. People were working. That's income from them. They finally got a court to say, no, you can't do that either. He doesn't understand anything. He just wants it to be his way. I can't believe we're living under the rule of a fucking toddler. It's ridiculous. A toddler who likes to take everything and no sharing. He's that one kid you have to teach to share in kindergarten. Dear God.
Yeah, he is absolutely incompetent. He's absolutely stupid. And I don't know if that's worse than being evil. I just don't think he's smart enough to be evil. There's people around him kind of manipulating him to cause him to be evil, but he is so stupid and incompetent. And this has to be something scary for the Republicans too, because if you have somebody who's evil, they know where the line is. They know where to pull back. They can pull something off, but Donald Trump doesn't know that. He goes way overboard. He tries to extort Schumer by name Dulles Airport after me. Everything he does is just so stupid. I can't imagine how this guy survived this long being that dumb.
Because Mikey's already had enablers all his entire life. If it wasn't his family, then later on it was people around him. And you want a good example of enablers. The biggest one right now is the Republican Party. Those people in Tennessee will tell you they've been without power for close to 3 weeks now since the storm that came through. The one that hit us in Georgia. Now, when that storm was coming in Georgia, Brian Kemp, the governor, declared a state of emergency. They started to move crews. Georgia Power was in the road. They already had everything ready to go. Okay. He never, ever, Brian Kemp, asked for the White House or the federal government to declare a state of emergency for FEMA funds. He never asked because he knew what the answer would be. Transfer over to, now we got some, but not as bad because it kind of shifted north. Tennessee got hammered. There are 2 people still without power for the last 2.5 weeks. 29 people died in that storm. And their governor did not declare a state of emergency, nothing. FEMA finally is called up, but how much money FEMA has, I don't know. When people were asking the Republican Party about that in the State House their response is the reason it was so bad is because of woke and DEI. I swear to Almighty God, the Republican Party is a fucking death cult. Okay?
Yeah, it really is.
Bill Lee is the worst governor in the United States. And that's saying something that we got Greg Abbott and DeSantis in Florida. Okay. That man and all those people in the Tennessee legislature do not give a fuck about anyone but themselves. You can see about what they legislate and what they talk about. Okay, they don't care. 29 people are dead, and they want to blame it on concepts, not their incompetency, not being ready, not having money. They don't care about those people who are dead because they're probably in rural communities. Who gives a fuck about them? You know what the biggest thing, though, Mike? Those motherfuckers would probably vote for them again.
Oh yeah.
Marsha Blackburn was reelected in 2024. The dumbest human, probably one of the dumbest human beings on the planet, is sitting in the House, in the Senate, and instead of hearing anything about what's going on in her state, she wants to investigate Ketanji Brown because she was at the Grammys.
Yeah.
I mean, you ask what Republicans, there is no fucking line. They have sold their soul. They have sold it all. They don't care anymore, especially at the state levels, because they are sucking it dry. They love it. It's all power. Period.
It is power and greed. I want to bring up the Epstein files because there's something else going on this week. There's a few things going on this week. Pam Bondi's testifying. Ghislaine Maxwell is testifying. Probably nothing coming out of either of those. But we understand now there's members of Congress that are going to be going to the DOJ and looking at the Epstein files unredacted. I'm curious what they're going to find there, and I'm curious what's going to happen if they actually see the unredacted files.
Why are they letting them know? I've heard them go, do you know that they'll take notes or they'll remember things?
They'll just say they're lying or they're woke or something like that. But yeah, I wonder that too. I think they're being forced to because of the bill that was signed. I think that was part of the bill where they had to be able to see the unredacted stuff. And I don't think it's all of Congress. It may be just the Gang of Eight or maybe just a few in the Oversight Committee. I'm not sure which, but that's supposed to happen this week. And we know that there are some pretty damning things. I mean, as it sits right now, we got people like Aaron Parnas and other people going document by document and coming out and go, fuck, we didn't see this. We didn't see this picture. People can go through this 3 million and pick out what's there and come up with some pretty damning stuff. I'm just interested to see how Congress handles looking at the raw, unredacted documents because it's going to be very telling.
The only thing that's left to do, and I think Aaron Parnas had touched on this, is Thomas Massie keeps threatening to use what he calls the nuclear option and start naming names on the House floor. The victims want to do it, but they can't do it because there's people have a lot of money, a lot of power, and they will get sued to high heaven. They know that. Yeah. But if a congressperson goes on the floor of the House or Senate, you can't be sued. There's no legal recourse. They can name all the names they want.
There's an easy way around this. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massie said that they would read the names on the floor, which would keep them safe from any kind of lawsuits. Right. Now, in order to do that, they need the names provided to them by the survivors/victims.
Yeah, they can get them.
I understood that they didn't give them to them yet for some reason, and then I heard some deadline that the survivors put out, like next Friday. If they don't do something by then they're going to start naming names. It's a real easy deal. Just give those names to Massie or whoever is willing to do it, and just let them do it so they can't get sued. I would prefer to see them do that than have the women speak these names.
But I will say this straight up. I don't think Massie has the balls to do it. I think he's playing a game, personally. He's been pissed at Trump since they removed him from the Intelligence Committee chair when he years ago, beginning of his term. He's been having a hard-on for that. He knows if he does that, he is finished as a Republican. And I don't know if he has the gonads to do it. I'm afraid that and I think the victims are thinking the same thing, that they're afraid that he's just talking shit to take advantage of them like everybody else has.
Massie, a lot of people are fans of Massie now because of what he's doing with the Epstein files, and I get that. But you got to remember, Massey's been around for a little while, and he supported Donald Trump all the way up to this point. Now, I appreciate what he's doing, and if it's beneficial and it exposes some things, great. I just don't trust any Republican, including Massey.
No, they just can't do it. It's literally the Stockholm syndrome with these guys. Yeah. They know it's wrong, but they're stuck in their heads. They can't get away from Trump. I mean, the thing about it is that the only thing that will get away from Trump if Trump's not there anymore, physically. Because I'll tell you one thing, they ain't listening to J.D. Vance. Oh, hell no. J.D. Vance is done. He is so done. It's not even finished. Not even funny. He's in Italy fucking around there. They're all pissed at him because you bring
booing his ass off.
But they booed him, but it gets worse. He brought his whole contingent there with these SUVs. I haven't been to Europe. I've seen travel logs of Europe. You can't fit an SUV through the streets of Milan. It doesn't work. Yeah. They've been banging through Milan. And you know the worst thing about it that really insulted everyone? He's there for a week. Motherfucker brought his own food. Who brings their food to Italy?
Yeah, they got pretty good food.
Yes, Italy. You're not going to a foreign planet. This isn't the Martian where you have to have free-dried food, dude. Who brings food to Italy?
Well, we also heard that that ICE was going over there, and for the life of me can't understand. They have no authority in Italy. If I was Italy, I'd kick their ass out.
Well, apparently there are rumors, and I've been looking for the videos, that they've been gotten into confrontation with some Italians and Italian police, and they're just saying they're just giving them the back end of a club. What I'm hearing. Really? Yeah, I mean, these are rumors. I've not heard people saying it. I've been looking for information. I haven't found it. But I'm not surprised because if he brought the stupid with them and the stupid think that they're going to go ugly American on some Italians, you think Puerto Ricans and Latinos are bad? Fuck no.
Yeah, they are going to tolerate that shit.
But they're protesting in the street because there's a presence of ICE agents in there, and they're protesting in Milan against the United States. And I made a comment about it, is that when I was thinking about all this, because you had that one skier who said, he was asked about it, he goes, I mean, I'm not happy what's going on here, but I'm still going to represent for my family. Trump flipped out. Everyone flipped out, called him a traitor. No, that man's a patriot. Just because we don't agree with Trump, that's not America. This is not Trumpistein. This is still America. Okay, assholes. But I kept thinking, and go, man, the way the other countries are talking about us, I started thinking about it with the Olympic experience. You and I lived through the Cold War. I go, oh, fuck. We just became the East Germany of the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean.
Pretty much. Or Russia back when they.
Back when. But I think more East Germany. And it's like, it's kind of sad. It's sad because I know there's athletes, they train, they just start, they want to concentrate in sport. That's what he said. I'm concentrating in sport. I'm not happy what's going on in my country, but hey, this is what I'm here for. I'm going to represent well for my family. And these fucking MAGA flip out because they want what Hitler got in the 36 games for the good of the Aryan race and for the German people. They want those people to say, I'm doing this because I'm here for Donald Trump. They want them to say that. They're not going to get it. They may get it for someone. That person's going to get blown up. But they're not going to get it because they don't give a shit. And it's hard. It must be hard to hear the national anthem and not do anything. And I remember the 68 Olympics, the Black Power symbol, and that cost those guys a lot. But they were right. They were correct.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, if this was in America, it would be a much different situation. But the fact that it's in Italy and Donald Trump thinks he's got some control over there. I mean, when you talk about Italy, what's going on with ICE over there, And then you look at the Jeffrey Epstein thing and you hear about the investigations and ultimate trials in the Netherlands, in Poland, in the UK. This has got
Right.
to make Donald Trump pretty fucking nervous because they're going to come up with evidence. I've said it before. America is not the only one that has evidence in this shit. And like you said, they have extradition rights. Um, and they're not going to think twice about putting evidence out that implicates Donald Trump. In fact, they may look forward to doing that because Donald Trump can't really do anything to them except, oh, I'll put tariffs on you. That's
Well,
about all he can do.
but here's the thing. If I'm one of those countries and he's on this tariff thing, I mean, let's make a deal. I
Yeah,
won't say nothing. You've already turned your head on tariffs.
right.
From a practical standpoint, that makes sense. Will it fuck the victims over again? Yes. But again, money makes the world go around. And that's the thing about the economy. And he keeps talking about tariffs and the foreign money. No. Reading again, Georgia has gotten a lot of interest from many foreign countries that want to open businesses in here in Georgia for the labor, for production. Again, center here in the South. They won't do it because of the tariffs.
Right.
Many companies here are about to go to hell because of the tariffs. The only people paying the tariffs are us and the business, or the business has to swallow the tariffs, and that costs them money.
Well,
And
then
it's
you've got this
ridiculous.
big Hyundai plant down in Savannah that's
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there, right? It was going to
Yeah,
employ thousands of people.
that was the battery plant. Hyundai still making some cars, but I don't know how long that's going to last. But that's the thing. We're dealing with incompetency up and down the entire frickin' government. Every day, it's not only all this stuff we hear is to distract from their incompetency and
Yeah,
their grift, and they're taking money from us. I mean, the sad, like, I'm thinking about the Samantha Guthrie's mom, Nancy, who's vanished. Okay, he's been
right.
kidnapped, all that. And the FBI is involved in it. You know, the first thing I thought, they can't do it. They can't find anything. They can't do anything. Really? That's because the FBI is too busy redacting files and doing Donald Trump's bidding.
Right.
They're not. They're not the investigative units they are. The investigators have been pushed out. That's
Regarding
why.
Savannah Guthrie's mom, some
Mhm.
people, there's all kinds of rumors going on out there. Some people thinking it has to do with Epstein because she interviewed some of the victims and stuff. I don't know. That might be pushing it kind of far. I guess it could be that. Um, but there's been a lot of collateral damage with Donald Trump and the things he tries to cover up. He loves to send messages. He likes to bully and threaten people. I mean, who really knows?
We don't.
Is that
And
part of
that's
that
the
whole
hard.
thing or not?
I don't know. I mean, but I just thought of that. The incompetency runs everywhere, and with the DOJ more busy about prosecuting his enemies is ridiculous. And that, I mean, what's going to come up the Epstein files? I don't know. They could vanish, and in the sense that they'll vanish out of the um, out of the media ether. But I think it can't if the victims blow them up and take the risk of being sued. The only good thing about it is discovery. And
Yeah.
you want to roll that? Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're getting down to. I mean, it's sad. And when you hear about the stories and everything, you go, this is all that money that you have, and you could make people's lives so much easier. You could do so much, but you choose to do this because you
Yeah.
can and you need to. And it's just, I, I, I just, wow. It just it blows your mind to think that this is what they did. And Epstein made money. Oh, he made a shitload of money off this and influence. And
I
that's
said
sad.
I said something in a previous podcast, and I'm curious as to what you think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have thought that the Jeffrey Epstein thing was strictly just a blackmail ploy, where they suck people in like a honeypot, and they suck them
Mm-hmm.
in, and they get video of them, and then they blackmail them and keep getting money out of them. I've been thinking about this more, especially with the prospect that Donald Trump may be a partner in this situation. And because we're talking about wealthy people, oligarchs and such, they're entitled. They think they're above it all. I'm thinking more that this was a business. They provided a service to the oligarchs, knowing, it wasn't a blackmail thing at first, but for insurance, to keep everybody protected. It's like when you're in a gang, you make them shoot somebody so they're just as
Right.
guilty as you. So that's why they took the videos and they took the pictures and stuff just as insurance. It wasn't initially blackmail unless they needed it, but I think it
Mhm.
was a business service where Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein supplied services and people that these fucking weirdo oligarchs wanted. Does that make
And
sense?
also, yeah, it makes sense, but also it could be both because what
Yeah.
you described
Well, it
as
is
the honeypot
both.
and all that, that is standard old school Cold War CIA
Yeah.
tactics. That's old school shit. I could see since there are a lot of Russians involved in this, and these are Western guys with influence. I can see Putin's hand deep in there. He's just not mentioned per se, but I could see his version of the KGB in there. He was a KGB agent for decades. His job destabilizing governments.
Right.
I
And
mean,
they
I
didn't
could
even have to do it here. Donald Trump did it now. But
did
the
it.
other thing
Yeah,
that people are suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset for Russia and or Israel, and that's conceivable too. I mean, these foreign
yeah,
countries wanting to stick their nose into this and get dirt on American politicians, not to mention even some international politicians, you could see where Israel and Russia would want a piece of this and be involved.
yeah. The Israeli government has become a real pain in the ass for
Yeah.
Americans overall because they need the status quo and they still need to go ahead and do what they do in Gaza. Um, to those Palestinians who didn't voted for Trump, by the way, they have arrested quite a few Palestinians and
Yeah.
deported them to the West Bank and gave them to the IDF, who drove them across the border and kicked them out in the dirt
Right.
in Gaza.
Right.
That's a fact. And so I sometimes I feel like all of us are fighting a two front war
No,
between
at least two
yeah, at
fronts.
least with um, the Republican Party and Trump and an Israeli government, Netanyahu, who's just desperate to stay in power, desperate to consider their genocide in Gaza. And again, before y'all run around, no, this is not anti-Semitic. This is truth. Okay,
Yeah.
this is not about the Israeli people, but you're allowing this. This is about the Israeli government because I take some responsibility as an American for the shit that's sitting in the White House. I have to because of the election process. In
Right.
order to fix it, I have to take some responsibility for it. Because if you say that's not my fault, you don't want to do anything about it. That's someone else's problem. No, it's our problem. We have to take responsibility. To the Israeli people, hey, you got any kind of idea that maybe you could push this man out of office?
Well,
Or are
and
you just accepting it?
you make a good point here, and we can turn it around too. When people talk badly about Israel, they want to say anti-Semitism, and as you said, we're not against the people of Israel. It's your government. The exact same thing could be said about this country.
Yes.
Israel could turn it back around and say, well, why don't you push your guy out? What the fuck's going on?
Yep.
Most people don't align with Donald Trump, yet here we are and we have this situation. So when I call out Israel government, I'm acknowledging that we have the very same fucking problem. Everything
Yes.
Israel is doing, we're pretty much doing, with some exceptions. We're not taking the Gaza Strip at
But
this point, but we are
well,
killing
no,
people.
but we are basically trying to ethnically cleanse the United States. They are
Absolutely.
pushing. I mean, they're arresting people on the street, even if they're protesting. Um, Minneapolis showed Minneapolis showed how far they're going to go.
Yeah.
And by the way, just because the media has kind of disappeared from Minneapolis, and they said they pulled 700. No, they're knee deep in shit still. You guys there in Minneapolis,
Yeah,
they are
it's no
not
better than
quitting.
it was. They make it
No,
seem like they pulled back and it's a calmer, gentler place.
no.
It's not. It's all the same shit,
I- And
maybe
and
worse.
and the thing, and these guys, you guys are fighting the good fight, and it's spreading across the country. There
Yeah.
are protests everywhere. The high school kids. I laugh at these people who think that high school kids shouldn't do it or shouldn't be involved or innocents. Fuck no. Okay. As I told Eric when we did a live the other night at TikTok, look, they say, well, the kids shouldn't be in politics. We need to hide it from them. They don't know what's going on. They shouldn't know. We didn't know that when we were younger. Oh, hell no. Okay. I went to high school in the 70s, from mid 70s on, elementary school, early 60s. I knew what Vietnam was. I knew what was going on. I knew about the civil rights, and there was no fucking internet. There
Yeah, and
wasn't.
and and when we're talking about civil rights and the Vietnam War, thank God for those kids because those kids were in large part one of the reasons why civil rights passed and why
Yeah.
Vietnam War was ended.
And you're seeing right now those high school kids doing because they're reacting to their friends and their parents being assaulted. That's
Yeah,
what they're reacting to. This is less about the government and more about my friends are in trouble. And
right.
also, they're smart. They know their rights too. And to watch
Oh yeah,
these old fucks come up there and yell at them, no. To watch, listen to Greg Abbott talking about they shouldn't have. Fuck you. It's going to get worse. Now, it's all over the country. People are fighting back. ICE tried to show up in Compton, got pushed out. They're not going to show back in Chicago. If they do, they're going to have problems. But I will give Minneapolis one thing I saw the other day that I was absolutely just amazed. They ICE was coming out and they started throwing rubber
dildos.
dildos. They were throwing rubber dicks at them, okay, guys? They were throwing dildos at them because they're a bunch of dicks. I can
Yeah,
say it here because I can't say it
yeah.
on TikTok, and I try to
No,
do it,
you can't.
but I'm like, damn, they did it, and it got so bad that they had to get Minnesota State Police to bring out their armored car to get them out of there. Okay, and I'm like going, this is we do shit like that. The original Boston Tea Party guys dressed up as Indians and
Yeah.
raided those things. We do shit like this. They're lucky though it wasn't Molotov cocktails. That's what the difference is right now. They haven't pushed us that far. It could get there if you
Yeah,
keep doing
absolutely.
it. And that's the thing. It's all this is pressure on us every fucking day. I know it's tough for everyone. It's tough for me. There are days when you read the news and go, fuck, I wish I couldn't read half the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wish sometimes I wish I knew how unempathetic these guys are, but I wouldn't be mean. I wouldn't be fair. That's stupid. I was raised differently. But it's like that pressure on us, it's pressure on them. They feel it. That's why they're fucking frantic. Do you think Trump is not doing this because he knows he's fucked? He knows
Well,
it.
yeah.
He feels
He's
it.
he's doing anything and everything he can. One other thing I wanted to talk about because I think it's almost as scary as everything else that's going on, and it doesn't get as much play. It's starting to get more, but we know of the situation with a whistleblower against
Yes. Okay.
Tul-
Thank you for
Tul-
bringing it up. I almost forgot.
Tulsi Gabbard, and there was this whistleblower complaint, and and I don't know if Tulsi, and basically it involves an intelligence agency person in direct contact with somebody close to Trump. And I have a feeling it may be Trump himself, and I'll tell you why. But this complaint comes in, they get it, and what they're supposed to do within 21 days, get it to Congress so that they can work this out. Instead, it's brought over to the White House, given to the chief of staff Susie Wiles, she doesn't like what she sees, so she puts it into a vault, hoping it will go away at some point, and it sits there for fucking 8 months. This is a serious risk to this country, and they just set it aside for 8 months. Now we know about it. We know the Gang of Eight either has looked at it or is going to look at it. I don't know how much they'll be able to see because it's pretty high level, top secrecy. But there was something said that makes me even more concerned. They were talking about why they can't see certain things, and it was because of executive privilege. Now, the only way executive privilege can be implemented is if the president's involved. He's the only one that can
Yeah.
invoke executive privilege. So this whole thing is kind of scary. For 8 months, we've been
Right.
precariously in this potential crisis, and they just hid it away. By doing what they did, they broke multiple laws.
Oh
But
God.
over and above that, we don't know what kind of danger this country is in or what kind of problem
Well,
was caused.
yeah, because I was reading because there was stuff that I think the Times did it, and I was reading through it. Is that the whistleblower was reporting that
Yeah,
the other reports is that it was Trump talking to a foreign intelligence agency out of the White House.
that makes
Okay,
sense.
um, that this report, the whistleblower sent this report to Gabbard herself. Okay, Gabbard at that point said, "Transfer all the files to me. I want it all." Sent all the files to her. She contacted the chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and this is what they did. She printed out what had happened and the complaint in paper, and then basically erased the computer digital versions of it, and that's why it ended up in the safe. Okay,
Wow,
she
wow.
knows what's going on, and it could be Trump, it could be someone close to him. People say close to him. That's the same thing as the guy, some staffer put out the racist message.
Yeah.
That is fucking Trump speak for he fucking did it. He
Right.
was talking to someone he shouldn't talk to again.
Well, here's what we
Um,
know. Here's what we know for sure. Donald Trump is always on the phone. He always talks about, I just talked to this guy or that guy or another guy. Uh, Apparently, if you're in the right position and have a certain amount of power from the right country, it isn't hard to get Donald Trump, the president of the United States, on the phone.
no,
So my guess is it had to do with a conversation between Donald Trump and whoever this intelligence agent was. I mean, keep in mind when he talked to um, uh, people in Ukraine,
Zelensky. Hmm.
and it was the perfect call. Keep in mind
Right.
that when he was in his first term, he had a meeting in the Oval Office with three Russian diplomats. Two were known to be spies. He inadvertently gave them top secret information, military information about
Israel.
Israel. I
Israel.
mean,
Yeah.
him disseminating this stuff is is common knowledge. This is what he does. So the idea that he might have been talking to a intelligence agent wouldn't surprise me at all. So now we got Tulsi Gabbard giving it to Susie Wiles, who puts it in a vault, and now the Gang of Eight is alleged to be able to see this. And again, just like the Epstein files, the question is, what will they do? Will they stay mum about it and just act like it's no big deal? Because we know it is a big deal at this point.
I mean, the first in his first term, he had a meeting. His first meeting with he had a first meeting with Putin without
Yeah,
any staff but the interpreters.
right.
By themselves. That's when he came out of the meeting and said, "Yeah, there was no interference in the 16 election because Vladimir told me it was all good."
Yeah, he's
Um,
fine.
yeah, and but that's where we come back to what we're talking about Republicans. What's the line? Okay, if racism is in the line, if pedophilia is not the line, if grifting is not the line, um, is treason the line?
You
Are
would
you going to
hope.
defend treason? Because this is treason. And people will say, well, he was just talking. It's fucking treason. Okay,
It's pretty.
we
It's
grew
pretty
up.
cut and dried.
We grew up in the Cold War. I remember the story about the Falcon and the Snowman.
Yeah.
That was treason. It's the same fucking thing. Treason.
Well,
But
and
I will.
you asked
But
if that's a line for them. Is treason a line for them? Based on what we've seen over the past 10 years, I don't think
no,
it's a line to them. They'll try to cover it up any way they can. It's all about covering themselves, covering Donald Trump, and they will lie and they will do anything. Again, this is something that's going to come back after they're all gone.
right. Yeah,
There's going to be an investigation and possibly prosecution of it.
I mean, I don't. Even if they let it, even if they put the whole thing out, let it loose, that Trump was talking to the head of the FSB on the phone on the Resolute desk, FSB being the Russian intelligence agency, guys, just so you know,
Yeah.
was talking to him about our nuclear secrets, or how to find our nuclear subs. I will guarantee fucking, and I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just an example. Calm down. I'll guarantee fucking to you they'll make excuses for him. They'll just try to figure it out.
The
Because to
only thing
them,
we can do is to get the information out to the people and have the people in this country put the pressure on, like they did with the 5-year-old kid in detention camp, like they've done with the Epstein files. It's the people of this country that are putting the pressure on, and that's getting what little movement we are getting. So it's important in this Gang of Eight, if they see something and they can tell us something without breaching national
I mean,
security, which is a joke. We don't have any national
right. We
security
don't.
anymore.
That's the thing. We don't. The incompetency on that level is ridiculous. Tulsi Gabbard is the DNI.
Yeah.
I mean, she's in charge of defense. She's on top of our defense intelligence agency. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's her job. She's supposed to have her finger on everything. She doesn't. All right. Kristi Noem is in charge of the Department of Homeland Security's job is for internal security in the United States, not just immigration, internal security in the United States. Okay.
Right.
Scott Bessent is the Treasury Secretary of Treasury. His job is to maintain the money in the United States and keep up the budgets. He ain't doing shit. Howard Lutkin, the Commerce is not bringing in business, but he's making money for himself. Don't get me started on the Transportation Secretary or the Education Secretary or the Defense Department Secretary, who's a fucking drunk, who cares more about his makeup than anything else, who hates women, literally hates women. You hate women, dude. You hate women. And there are women there are 10-year-olds that do more pull-ups than you do. Okay? Now, same
Yeah.
bar. Females.
Let me ask you something, see what you know about this, because I've heard it two ways. Mitch McConnell's in the hospital. We aren't hearing much about him at all right now. He's old. He's decrepit. He's probably going to die. And if he dies, it's my understanding that the governor appoints somebody else for that position. Now, there was some playing games with the legislature saying, well, no, the legislature has to pick out the candidate so it stays Republican. And then the governor has to pick of those candidates. Yeah. Now, Andy Beshear, the governor, has said, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm going to do my job and appoint whoever. So I don't know how that's all going to play out, but I don't think Mitch is going to be with us for very long.
Yeah. And when he goes, I'm going to open a can of soda in celebration because that's what he's worth.
Yeah.
Be honest. No, I'm going to open a can of sparkling water. There you go. That's what you're worth. Not even worth the sugar. So what happened is that when Andy Beshear became governor of Kentucky, and they knew that Mitch was old, the legislature changed where the governor would not appoint the senator if the senator passes away or cannot do their term or resigns. It would have to go to a special election. So Mitch McConnell, that's what the Republican legislature did in Kentucky, because they knew if Mitch passed, there was going to be a Democrat in that seat in 30 seconds. So they're going to go to a special election. It's not the least they make him choose. It's going to be they force a special election legislature through. He vetoed it, but They overrode it. So that's where that's. So when Mitch McConnell finally meets his maker and he goes to hell like he deserves, and is remembered as the most powerful and ineffectual senator in the history of the United States, whose only job was to obstruct and pack the Supreme Court with fascists, was what he did, and not saved this country from a true fascist and Donald Trump because he believed in political power, and that's why he wasted away to this. There'll be a special election now.
So this thing will sit empty. The seat will sit empty until they have this special election, right?
Yeah, it'll be within 30 days. It'll be just like you saw with that. Here's the thing, though. That used to be a Republican thing. Not these days.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's the thing. When McConnell dies, if he doesn't make it, which he probably won't, because I'm hearing not good things either. And the reason we're not hearing anything because it's bad, and they don't want to put it out there. They're going to have an open election, and the one woman that ran against him before was a combat vet.
Right.
And they'll drag some fucking MAGA out for it. But I think it's going to be a battle they're not going to like, because it's going to be in fucking environment.
Exactly.
And so if you think it's going to be a cakewalk, I don't think it will. Will a Republican win? Probably. Will it be fucking close? Yes. And I think that's something that Republicans don't want. That's probably another reason why we're not hearing anything, because they don't want to go to a special election with him, because they're afraid of losing that Senate seat.
Well, and here's the thing. What you're saying about probably a Republican will win is the same thing they were saying about that Texas representative seat that they got their ass kicked. And like you say, the climate we're in right now with the hatred toward the Republican Party in Kentucky, not a rich state. There are probably people struggling right now. All this person has to do in a special election says, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure you get taken care of.
That's it.
They're going to beat that crazy fucking Republican. They could beat a crazy fucking Republican.
Because that's the message has been for every Democrat, even on the state level. That's it. That's been their message. And that's the thing that that still bugs the shit out of me about the Democratic leadership. You're not hearing us. Now, those people are winning. You don't get it.
Yeah.
But you will.
Well, they're like Republicans. They're like Republicans, though. It's all about money and power. They're not going to give in until you pry from their dead, clammy hands. Yeah. They're just like the Republicans in that sense. There's another politician that appears to be going through some things too. I'm wondering if you've seen it. Lindsey Graham. Last times I've seen him, he's either panicking or drunk. Something's going on there.
Lindsey. What Lindsey needed to do years ago is go. What was the name of the congressman in New York, the gay congressman? I just drew a blank on him. You know what I'm talking about. Lindsey should just have embraced his life.
It's too late.
And got it over with. I mean, but it was too late for him. I know. I think that's.
But how do you acknowledge what you are and then go marginalize your very community?
Scott Bassett is gay.
Good example.
And he's a fucking asshole. I mean, your sexual preference don't mean you can't be a dick.
Right. Exactly.
As simple as that. But
I think he's one of the most reprehensible, Scott Bassett, because he knows better about the economy and he just lies. He sides with a party who's trying to destroy his family and his community, but power and money is more important to him.
But Lindsey has, I think he's hit the wall with his compliance with Trump because he knows it's a mess. There's part of him maybe feels guilty. I don't know. I mean, I saw him. Yeah, I saw that he sounded drunk. Apparently, he's the one that pushed Trump into going down to Venezuela. And then Trump pushed him aside again. He could be like at the end of Inherit the Wind, with William Jennings Bryan trying to scream the speech in the courtroom, and everyone was ignoring him until
Yeah.
he literally dropped dead in the courtroom. I think that's what Lindsey Graham is, because he's like screaming his head off. And also, South Carolina is going to change. Georgia's changing. South Carolina's going to change. The South is changing,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. The woke shit's not working. People are becoming cognizant that, eating and having a job are better than worrying about trans athletes.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and 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 I think and also, dude, how old is he? 70s, 60s, 70s, 70s, right?
Uh, yeah, I think so. Let me check.
Yeah,
He's older.
yeah,
Sounds like he's had a hell of a life though. He's gone
right.
through some things. Um,
I mean, he follows Strom Thurmond, who's burning in a nice hell cell too. Um, but I think a lot of it, he's looking back on his career and everything and going, I think he's got regrets. He thought he'd be more than what he is now. What are you,
well,
Lindsay?
Lindsay's not as old as you would think. He's 70, so he's 5 years older than I am. Uh, but Lindsay has probably lived kind of a wild life,
Yeah,
probably drinks too much. And I got to tell you, when you drink too much and you're 70, that's a lot older than most people when they're 70.
and I mean, he's just, and honestly, this is a product of a lot of those older senators that had an opportunity to end Donald Trump,
Right.
but didn't want to. And karma's a bitch.
They'll live to
And right
regret it.
now, and I noticed that as soon as when Trump was out of office in that time, but McConnell didn't do what he should have done, or Graham didn't should have done what he should have done. He started to waste, and it got
Yeah.
worse and worse. And I will say this, that there might be something to the idea that the way you are just ages you that way. He lost all his cognitive stuff. Mitch McConnell was sharp, but he was sharp in the wrong way,
Yeah.
and he knew better. And I think right now, if you want to believe in punishment, this is his punishment for losing his cognitive, because you sold this country out for what? For beliefs that no one else wants. The hardest thing right now we have to understand is that all of us want a functioning government. All of us see this chaos and go, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
But you have to understand that the people who, like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, the Project 2025, all of these people, these Christo fascists, don't give a fuck as long as they can get to their version of America that is basically white Christian, basically the American Taliban. They don't care about us as long as we do what we say, as
Right.
long as women stay their place and pump out 2 kids, as long as minorities do our bidding, everything's okay. That's the world they want under God. That's that's why you see almost the insane amount of not ignorance, but just lack of empathy for people suffering. What other government files appeal to send a 5-year-old back to detention,
Yeah.
which they did with
That's
Liam Rollins the other day? So
and they did that strictly because they thought they were saving face. We weren't wrong. Yeah, you were wrong.
yeah,
You kid. I said something on one of my TikToks. I
mm,
said something about kidnapping a 5-year-old and sending him to a detention camp. Some Trumplefuck came along and said he didn't get kidnapped. No, motherfucker, that's exactly what happened because he was legal to be here. He
right.
was literally kidnapped.
Or you can Lawler in New York during his town hall meeting, when they brought up Liam Ramos, he goes, "No, the ICE agent was saving him because his father ran away." No, that's not what happened. We know
Yeah.
that's not what happened. And you stood in front of that crowd and said that thinking they're going to vote for you in a few months. They're not.
No.
I saw that meeting. You threw out veterans who were questioning you. You
There's
had
a
your
lot of
sheriff throw them out.
there's a lot of members of the House, like a Lawler or somebody like that. They're going to be broadsided because they're going to lose.
Right.
And I don't know what it's like in Louisiana, but Mike Johnson could fucking lose.
They lost that state Senate seat. I mean, and they're gonna hold on to what they know, thinking it's gonna work. Again, that's all they got. They have
Yeah.
no plan. They killed healthcare. They killed Medicaid. They're working on other stuff. The legislation is basically nothing. We're gonna have hearings over bullshit again. And I'm glad Bill Clinton said, "Fuck you. I want to do this in public." And James Comer said, "No. What are you afraid of, Jimmy? I thought you
Yeah.
had the upper hand. You don't want Bill Clinton out there with his southern accent making you look stupid. And Hillary Clinton, you want her to testify? Dude, you really don't want that smoke. I saw Benghazi hearings. She held up. She made you all look stupid in the end, even
She
though we
isn't.
knew what it was for."
The funny thing is, they brought her in just to make an example of her, and Donald Trump wanted to do it that way. But she really isn't in the files per se. Her
No,
name may show up, but she's not really in the files of doing anything. Here's a woman that's smarter than anybody in that oversight committee, literally smarter than
yeah,
anybody in the oversight committee, who sat through 11 hours worth of testimony, and she kicked their ass when she did it. Um, she got nothing to lose. She's not running for anything. She could just
no.
say, fuck it. She
And
could
same thing
burn
with,
down Bill for that matter.
and then Bill Clinton's like, "Sure, I mean, unredacted. I'll answer all your questions, but I'm doing it in public." That's the
Yeah.
thing. I want to do it in public. Why do you want to do it behind closed doors? Don't talk about, well, we don't want the people to hear about the victims. Why? Why do you want to hear the victims' names? Why do you want to hear the names of the people? I don't think they're going to name them, but what are you afraid of? I know what you're afraid of because they're going to make you look stupid. That's why they
Well,
had. This is the thing. Well, look, Jack Smith was behind closed doors. Remember the first hearings,
right.
and then his information came out. So they thought it was smart. Let's him do it in public. Yeah, how did that work for you guys? I don't get these guys. They are not the brightest bulbs.
Well,
Jim
and you got to
Jordan's an
remember,
idiot.
Bill Clinton is same age as Donald Trump, 79 years old, maybe in better shape, but his life is at an end too. What the fuck does he have to lose? You're going to put an 80-year-old former president in jail? Doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
they're
and
not
then
going to say anything to implicate themselves at all. They're just not going to do it.
Then why aren't you questioning Howard Lutkin? He's all over the
Yeah.
files.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else is in there? I think there are other cabinet members. The guy that he nominated for the Federal Reserve chair coming up.
Yeah.
He's in the files.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is the thing that I think is going to. People are saying, well, there's going to be no justice for the people. No, there's a good possibility none of these people are going to go to jail. Not in the United States, maybe overseas. But when everything gets dragged out in the open and they're out there trying to get jobs, they're not going to get them. They're going to become pariahs.
I'm happy to destroy their lives because that's the very least they deserve.
And the thing,
destroy their lives by exposing them.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. What is another thing they have to consider and understand, that if the victims go out there and do it and decide to file lawsuits against all these guys, which I think they should do. If you're going to do it, just do it and file lawsuits against all these guys for defaming them. Right. Let's get into this battle. Let's get into this fight. Let's let discovery happen. At that point, we'll see. Now, people are afraid that, they'll finally, those women will go poof. That apparently, according to the files and a lot of pictures, Jeffrey Epstein may have. The suicide thing's now being questioned big time. And so there is going to be shit from this forever, and it's not going to be legal, but it's going to put so much pressure on them that it's going to affect what they want. It's going to affect the election. It's affecting the election now. You think people don't know this? They know this. On top of all this, the whole thing about If Democrats are smart, and if they're not going to do the abolish ICE, I'm fine. That's fine. If they aren't going to go that far, I can't stop you. Okay, but if you want to restrict them, like they should, make them go through proper training, make them wear the badges, make them the names, make them go body cams with no mask. Fine, press it. Do not fucking compromise on it, because the Republicans are arguing for that and they can't defend it anymore.
Right.
People see it, the violence, the death. They see it. The only thing what I'm really disappointed with Democrats, they haven't done anything about the detention centers, and there's people in there dying in there. So the election, just to make sure that everyone be clear, because I keep hearing this from everyone, the elections are happening in November, guys.
Yep.
All right. Is it going to be hard? Yeah. Are they going to try to pass the SAVE Act? That's a possibility. I don't think it'll get to the Senate because it'll be filibustered. I don't even know if it'll get through the House. It didn't before.
Yeah, the House is getting thinner every day.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, we're still going to vote. I mean, FBI is going to meet with a bunch of election officials with warning about fraud. Most election officials will just sit there and go. That's what they're doing. Because the thing about Fulton County, you got 5-6-year-old ballots.
Yeah.
What? Why? You're not going to find anything. You're going to bring out all these controversies that were already thrown in court. Do it and see what happens. Do it. Because the thing about it is that they could say they can make rules, but they can't do it if you get them dragged into court. Once you drag them into court, you have to tell the truth.
Right.
And that's the way it works. Yeah, so they got some fucking Missouri judge to do something here in Georgia. Yeah, that's one. Let's get a real federal judge. The point is, everyone is still doing their due diligence. They're fighting ICE. They're filming them. If the Democrats hold on, at least with making ICE accountable, and again, I understand the progressives. I listened to the I Had It podcast a couple of times, and they want total abolishment of ICE. Ladies, let me give you a term from sales. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. Okay?
Well, and the thing is, I think they should probably abolish ICE, but that's the least of our worries now, because once we get people of a normal bent in there, then they'll be able to them in and shut them down.
Then it's going to be a bitch. But if you take the mask off these guys, let's face it, they gave them the mask because literally they're all KKK members. They don't want to show your face. Why? You're afraid. Why are you afraid? If you're doing legal stuff like a police officer, why are you afraid to take responsibility for it? That tells you everything about them. And don't defend everyone the ones who complain about, well, ICE agents, are people too. They're not.
No.
Okay. There's a report that a lot of them are feeling upset and suicidal, and they don't know because their family doesn't love them. They can't get dates. They can't sleep. And as the creator who read that report said, you got what you deserve. Yeah. You got into this. You expected everyone to love you. We don't. And so
you bought the bullshit.
Yeah. And so right now, it's not easy for everyone because we see what's going on in Minneapolis. I know it's a nightmare, but the whole system is collapsing underneath. They can't even get lawyers to prosecute people. Yeah, I know they're stuck in the detention centers, but if they pull the plug on DHS funding, how are they going to do that? They're going to have to release people. They're going to have to figure something out. If there's no money for DHS, where's it coming from? You can't move the money, dudes. You don't have the money to move now. They'll try. They're going to get stopped in court. And that's the only thing I'm asking for Democratic leadership. Do not treat this as a budget issue. You already got the budget passed. Everything else is functioning. The one scab is DHS. And until DHS decides to become the Department of Homeland Security, and use their immigration and customs enforcement for immigration and customs enforcement, not as a secret fucking police or fucking JD Vance's goddamn bodyguards,
Yeah.
then we'll talk about getting rid of their asses later. I will take this piece because I know what? It will hurt them. And a lot of these guys will quit because they're afraid.
Yeah, they're already quitting because they aren't getting paid. They aren't getting health care. They aren't getting bonuses. Big surprise that they got fucked over. All right, we're going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. Will, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, again, I'm on Substack. Binary38 US is Substack. I said it's a paid subscription service there. It's $8 a month if you want to contribute to my work. It's nothing to behind a paywall, but if you want to toss in $8 a month, I appreciate. YouTube, Binary38 US at YouTube. RJ127 on TikTok for now with the account warning. Yeah, please reach out to that gentleman because I have no idea what's next, because the last time that happened, woof, and I'm only at 600 followers at this point. So we'll see how this goes.
Oh, I'll definitely reach out to him right after we get off of this.
Yeah, that's where you can find me. You can reach out to me if you got a question about anything. You can email me at kumquat@outlook.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. If you have something that you want me to cover, I will do that for you. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And for the rest of us, yeah, don't be afraid to take a day and go, fuck this. But remember, take a deep breath and come back. Because if you don't, they win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those of you listening, thanks for taking the time. Hope you have a great day. We will talk to you again tomorrow.